17th of 2011. We have a couple administrative items. I have a letter from Elena and Michael Panagis. It says, "Dear Sir and Madam, this letter is to ask for the withdrawal of our variance request at the December zoning hearing board meeting. We made changes to our proposal plan. The variance is no longer required." So if you're here for, which number is this one? 2864, is that right?
No, I think it's on the file.
2863 is withdrawn, so it's not even continued. Okay, this is Appeal 2864 from the Emerson Group. Appeal, it says, "This letter is to formally request a continuance of my petition for a hearing at the coming meeting on Thursday, November 17th. The application grants the zoning board an extension of time through the regularly scheduled February zoning board meeting to commence hearings, and also extends the commencement of this 45-day period for rendering a decision until after the conclusion of such hearings. I would like to request that this be continued to the February zoning board meeting." Scott R. Emerson, President. Any problems? Okay with everyone for the extension? No. Okay.
No problem.
Great. It's two. Okay. This leads us to the only thing on the agenda this evening, and it's Appeal 2866. The applicant, Marianne Ryan, property located at 101 Quaker Lane, Villanova, Pennsylvania, and zoned R2. Applicant requested determination that the proposed addition to the existing non-conforming building is permitted by right under Section 280-101B1 of the zoning ordinance, since the proposed addition will remain within the existing setback line and therefore will not increase the nonconformity of the building with respect to the setbacks. In the alternative, applicant requests a special exception pursuant to Section 280-101A2 to authorize a limited extension to the existing nonconforming building. You're up.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Carrie Nace. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Fox Rothschild. I'm here this evening on behalf of my client and the applicant, Marianne Ryan. Ms. Ryan is not here this evening. I do have a power of attorney. You may.
You want to? Can I have the market, John? You want to
mark
your exhibits?
his name?
Yes.
Probably mark your exhibits.
Okay.
Start with towers.
You want to do the application?
Yeah, we'll do the application. Is okay. A1.
A1 for your application.
Just yeah, man. She's got them separate in here, John. We'll do A2 is the deed. Yeah, A2 is the deed. And the drawings as A3. Yeah. Drawings is A3.
Actually, we've got two drawings. We have three drawings.
So we'll do SE1 is A3. SE2 is A4. SE3 is A5. That's all I have, correct?
Yeah, that's where I was, on that. And the power.
Power-
Six.
Yeah, they're not together, so I'm going to do each page.
Yeah, I would put the power of attorney with
Okay.
acknowledgements together at the same time.
Okay, so there's we're going to call it A6, A6 1, A6 2, because they're not stapled together?
They should be stapled together.
Okay, okay.
The whole power.
A6,
A6.
okay. Stacy, do you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Good evening, board members. I'm here this evening regarding property at 101 Quaker Lane. Here also with me this evening is Mark Asher from Asher Associates Architects.
You think,
Here, excuse me. There's a couple, in case more people than one person talks.
you're being televised, so use one or more of the mics.
Is this? Would you like me to start it? Okay. We're here this evening on property located at 101 Quaker Way, identified as tax parcel number 36-04-2533-00. The property is approximately 3/4 of an acre and is located within the R2 zoning district. There is an existing house that is located on the property, and the applicant is looking to add a small addition to the existing house. The existing house is a non-conforming building in that it does encroach within the front yard. The property is unique in that it has two front yards, one along Quaker Lane and another along Spring Mill Road. Here this evening with me is the applicant's architect, Mark Asher, from Asher Associates Architects. What I'd like to do is present testimony of Mr. Asher and go through what is being proposed and the relief that's being sought this evening.
Forgive me. How old is the house?
He's not going to swear yet, Charles, but I mean,
You want to swear me in and?
Yes, please.
I guess both of you should be sworn in because you're acting as agents for the applicant.
okay, if you'll both raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm this testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, and state your names one at a time.
Carrie Nace.
Mark Asher.
Thank you.
So to answer your question, it's post-World War II, just, so early 50s.
Okay. And you're not seeking any relief other than with respect to the front yard setback?
That's correct.
No side yards, no impervious, no
No.
Building coverage, nothing like that?
No.
Can you do an explanation, help me here for a second? I'm looking at your, you have here side yard is required or allowed is 10, existing is 10.9, and it's proposed 16.1. Where did the 5 feet come from?
We're looking at this line right here. Well, there's no change to that side yard, so.
Well, that's why I'm asking you.
Right.
It says there's a change. It says it's increased from 10.9 to 16.1.
No, there is no change to that. Now, that being said, maybe you're looking
I'm
down
looking
on
at the, I'm
number
looking at
10
the at the top of the page.
At the pool setback under number 10. There's a change to the pool setback, not the building setback.
Okay, the accessory structure,
It's moving away from the side yard, which is a good thing.
okay.
Can I ask a question that's not obvious from the plan? The existing conditions, is the pool and the patio, are they attached to the building?
Yes.
Is it continuous? House, patio, pool, all attached, abutting?
Yeah, I think we're probably looking at the same drawing. This is a little colored version. There's see a dashed outline of a pool and the whole back of this is all concrete.
And the new one will also, right, be, you're going to put the new addition on the existing house, and then a new patio attached to that, and then a pool?
Correct.
Same, okay. I think under our code section, that makes this all the part of the principal building, not as accessory structures. If they're attached, they're considered to be part of the principal building.
You're talking about the patio.
The whole thing, all these structures will be deemed part of the principal building under the code.
Structures meaning pool.
Yeah, and patio, yeah, both of them are structures.
Okay.
See, it says under 280.22, under the R2 zone, accessory structures to a use permitted herein shall be located as designated hereunder, and A is attached, one alternative is attached to a principal building, in which case they shall be part of the principal building. So it'll all be deemed for zoning purposes to be part of the principal building.
Is that attached?
I think but they're only, it's just a ground level patio
patio,
that
great.
attaches them.
It's a structure under the code.
I mean, on that theory, a person's driveway that is closer, attaches to their garage, and goes closer into the yard than the building yard would be part of it.
Well, I don't know, that's not in front of it, but I mean,
I know.
the definition of structure is as broad as it could be, John, on, in, or under, any
And
ascertainable
what you could do is,
location.
if you put like a 6-inch or 8-inch between where the patio ends and the pool starts, you're
Well, we
in.
could certainly.
You're in, right? You can do that, right?
But we're in that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. But he's still inside, yeah, he's okay. That's not a big deal. Okay, keep going.
Would you like me to? Okay. If I may just back up for a moment, and I would like Mr. Asher just to give us a brief background on his occupation, the licenses that he holds, and where he's currently employed.
Did you put up your resume?
I did not, no.
Okay, you can make this brief, I'm sure.
I can make it really brief.
Okay.
I graduated from Virginia Tech in 1982. I became registered in Pennsylvania in 1989. I'm registered in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. I've been in private practice for 17 years. And I employ myself and 8 others. The work that we do is primarily residential. The work that we do is primarily coastal. So we run what I like to say, 3 words you don't usually hear in the same sentence, a very successful architectural practice. But we're not before you because we're invariably on the coast.
Okay. Is everyone okay with that? Noah? Okay,
Well, because Stevie only becomes important if he's going to testify as a professional as opposed to a fact witness in lieu of that. So I don't know what he's testifying to.
He will be testifying as a professional, and I would request that this board accept him as an expert in the field of architecture.
Okay.
okay. Anyone, okay? Okay.
Great. Mr. Asher, could you briefly describe for the board, as shown on this plan, the existing improvements that are on the property and the existing conditions of the property?
Well, the drawing, again, mimicking what you have in front of you is, I think, fairly clear. there's a two-story, really it's a 1.5-story building. You can see it in front of me outlined in orange. A portion of that building sticks out of the setback. The property, with its unusual shape, has two front yards that and forms this sort of fin-shaped parcel between Spring Mill and Quaker. There's an existing pool that we have already mentioned that encroaches out into that rear yard as well.
And could you please describe in detail the improvements that are proposed by the applicant that is shown on this plan?
Again, shown in the brown is a proposed addition. Half of it is two-story, the other half is one-story. I'll show you the elevations in just a minute. And what you see in red, again, this sort of triangle out here is an area that we're bumping outside of the setback line. The house, again, I want to just jump to the outside. I think that tells more. And I think this is right side up to me. The house, as I said, it's 1.5 story. It's not a large home. It's about 2,100 square feet, I think, in first floor plan. And as I said, it's old. The house is 50 plus years old. So we're doing a fairly substantial interior renovation to this plan, new kitchens and bathrooms, and just bringing all the systems up to code. And in doing so, we're also giving the house an exterior facelift and the addition that I mentioned earlier. I feel like I'm running ahead of you a little bit, but so the top of the building, you can see our front elevation. This is the existing garage wing here. This is the existing 1.5 story wing that we're popping up a little bit, and this is an existing master bedroom wing that is remaining, but again being renovated. The rear of the house, and really sort of the subject of the issue tonight, is this is our new 2-story addition. This is a little 1-story area here, and then a 1-story area here that's tumbling out onto the pool that we talked about just a second ago.
What's the height of the building as proposed? It's under 35 feet?
Yes, it's really it's a cape now. It's really fairly low slung. We are raising that, but
Oh, okay.
I think it says 22.6.
Yeah, I don't have the more technical docs in front of me, but
Yeah, it's, you have it, at least on the drawing, it says 22.6?
yeah,
Yes.
okay. It's on my schedule, 22.6. So yeah, 35 is allowed, and we're 22.6.
Yeah, you're under.
You also know you're right on the border of impervious with the addition.
I'm right on that impervious number.
Yes, you
That's the
are.
tough one, isn't it?
Four tenths of a percent.
Yeah, we're gonna measure this on a cold day. Conversely, my building coverage is.
That's okay.
And in your professional opinion, is the existing house a non-conforming building?
It's non-conforming by nature of the aforementioned. I keep wanting to call it rear yard, but it's really front yard area popping out here.
Okay. And what is the required front yard setback in that area?
It's 40 feet.
And what is the existing building setback in that area?
The existing setback here, we're at 43.2 off of Quaker, and we're at 30 feet off of Spring Mill.
Okay.
30 feet 1.
And will the proposed addition to the existing house increase the non-conforming front yard setback along Spring Mill Road?
No, will not.
And what is the proposed setback from Spring Mill Road for the addition?
30 feet, 9.5 inches.
And what is the square foot area of the area that is extending into the front yard?
I'm sorry.
The addition is approximately 800 square feet, and the triangle that's stepping into the setback area is approximately 100 square feet.
Okay. And are you familiar with Section 280-101B1 of the zoning ordinance?
I am.
And generally, what does that section provide?
That an existing nonconformity or building can be renovated as long as the non-conforming aspect is not altered or enlarged.
Okay. And in your professional opinion, will the proposed addition increase the nonconformity of the house with respect to the setback?
No, it will not.
Okay. And therefore, in your professional opinion, do you believe that the proposed addition to the nonconforming building is permitted under Section 101B1?
I do believe so, yes.
In the event that the zoning hearing board does not agree with this determination, then we would be requesting a special exception to allow this area to be built within the front yard. And are you familiar with Section 280-101A2 of the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
And could you briefly summarize what this section provides?
Well, the zoning board can provide a special exemption as long as we meet certain criteria. That criteria, I think, is met in the nature of the building, the character of the neighborhood.
We'll go through each of those. So in your professional opinion, under Section 101A2, a non-conforming building may be extended for a certain area by obtaining a special exception from the zoning hearing board.
I think we're here on a 280-101B1.
Okay.
The
So that
section you're.
A
A2
is use, B is
Deals with
Okay.
extending a building in which there's a non-conforming use. This is a conforming use. It's just a non-conforming structure. So you're in the other section.
Have you, Ms. Nace, have you
Yes.
spoken to the neighbors at all about the project, or has your client spoken to the neighbors about the project? Have you had any feedback?
I have not. Mr. Asher, do you know?
I'm not aware that she has now, and I have not now.
If I may just go back 1 second, under Section 101B1, I guess just a clarification, it was my understanding that under that section that the addition or the extension of the non-conforming building would be permitted by right. It didn't seem as though a special exception would be required under that section. And although, again, under section, I just want to make sure that I'm under the correct section. Under the A2, I know it did speak about use, but it also had that a non-conforming building shall not be extended unless a special exception is obtained.
I think, Ms. Nace, the question of what that wording means in 101B1 has come up before. There's even been, discussion on the board. It is a long-standing practice of this board, which goes back before I started as solicitor, which means it's really old, that it's been interpreted as requiring, 101B1 is interpreted as requiring a special exception. You're free to make the argument that 101B1 is of right, but you might want to also preserve the special exception under that if that's how the board ultimately, decides to go. I mean,
Yes.
that's how 101, and by the way, I've only been here a dozen years. It was 101B1 for the prior solicitor. 27 years before that was a special exception. So it almost goes back to when Washington slept at the, such and such, at the Radnor Hotel or something.
I will take your lead on that. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on the sections and
Yeah.
under what relief was being requested.
Yeah, and
So-
you're perfectly free for the record to, assert that 101B1 is of right. I would just also ask for the special exception under that, if that's how the board ultimately goes.
Great. No. May we proceed?
Yes.
Okay. So we would request that if this board did not agree that it was permitted, then that this board consider granting a special exception under Section 101B1 to allow the extension of the building as a nonconformity. Mr. Asher, are you familiar with sections 280-145 of the zoning ordinance regarding the requirements to obtain a special exception?
Yes.
Okay. And in your professional opinion, do you believe that the proposed improvements and the modification to the house constitute an appropriate use consistent with the character and type of development in this surrounding area?
Well, of course, and of course, the neighborhood is exclusively single-family homes of this type and character and scale. So the additions that we're proposing are certainly consistent with that, and again, in scale and character. The house is on an oversized lot, but it's an undersized by footprint, and of course, the additions we're talking about are in the rear of the property. So I think when I put all of that together, we come up with a fairly successful application.
And in your professional opinion, will the proposed addition to the existing dwelling substantially injure or detract from the use of the surrounding property or have an adverse impact on the properties that are surrounding the subject property?
No, by no means, no.
I have no further questions for Mr. Asher at this time.
I do. Mr. Asher, if you look at your plan, it looks like of the present improvements, the closest encroachment toward in the second front yard that this lot has is really the part of the free-form apron around the pool, isn't it? You measure it as being 12...
Correct. The
Something?
current, as it exists today.
Right.
Yes.
And the new one, the closest encroachment will be the pergola around the new pool, and that's further away from the right-of-way than the existing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because that distance isn't shown, but it looks by the eye to be more distant.
Yeah, you're correct. It's not shown. I think we were, so house-focused. And I think we were given the impression that we were really changing like for like with the pool and the pool surround and the trellis.
I think you may actually be improving the situation with regard to that encroachment.
Yes. Yes.
That is correct. The pool is proposed to be removed with a new pool installed, and by doing that, the existing nonconformities as they relate to the pool area will be reduced.
Anyone else? Is that all? No? That was it?
I have to say, Charlie, they really shouldn't separate them, because if they separate it, the code says they have to be 10 feet from the house.
Okay.
I think they ought to keep them together.
Okay, all right, you're okay with them keeping it together?
I really...
Yeah, I see, I kind of...
I just wanted to get the facts. I
Yeah,
wasn't trying to presage some kind of a conflict.
No, I think that the way I would interpret it, like John said, I mean, that would mean that driveways would have to be the same thing, because they're...
Well,
most
that's not an
driveways-
issue we need to talk about right
Yeah,
now, but
right.
but I'm saying that under the
Okay.
code, it's considered part of the principal building, and it looks to me like they're actually improving the situation at its nearest point. That's...
Okay.
I was just trying to get to the facts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Do you want to move,
Move your exhibits if you made part of the record.
maybe to put the
Move that your exhibits be made part of the record.
Oh, yes, and actually, sorry, we've moved along here. I would also like to add to the exhibit list as I believe we were at A7,
Yes.
the proposed elevations of the house.
Okay, can you take them off of there so we can take them off the boards, please?
Yes.
Fold them up, put them in the file.
I don't think you want them in the file, right?
Not the board.
Not support.
That's what I meant.
And will you both confirm that the testimony and, you know, that both of you have made is made on behalf of the applicant pursuant to your appointment through the power of attorney?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Did you put John, did you put those back here?
The folder, yeah. The only thing I took was the file folder.
Did you mark that, A7? I'll do it. No other questions? Jim, do you want to do this one, please?
I would recommend that the board grant a special exception pursuant to 280-101B1 on the grounds that the proposed improvements do not increase the existing nonconformity with respect to the front yard setback.
And comply to the drawings that were submitted?
In all respects.
Noah?
I concur in the result, although I don't think we have the authority, nor does the section require a special exception. I think they're entitled to do this as a matter of right.
I agree with you.
So I would like to concur in the result, but if the board gives a special exception, I'd like to dissent as to the method of giving the approval.
I agree with you. I think it's by right they have a right.
It is
to do
by
this.
right.
I think it's by right.
I
Pete?
Concur
Do
with.
you want to change yours?
I do not.
Okay,
I concur with the.
okay.
I'm
You
sorry,
have
who
it.
concurred with who? We obviously defined.
We have one special exception and
And-
at least two by rights.
Okay, and Pete is by right or special exception? By right. Three? By right. So four by rights and one special exception.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one holdout.
No other meeting. The zoning board is completed for this evening.